Do you have what it takes to lose against some of the strongest and quirkiest Demon Slayer characters? Let's say you're up against Obanai and your job is to lose to him. What can you do to increase your chances of losing to him to an absolute 100%? This one's pretty straightforward, to be honest. Remember how everyone was going absolutely bonkers over Mitsuri's bath scene? Well, we're gonna hit Obanai with that. When you see him, just start talking about how much you enjoyed that Mitsuri bath scene. What a treat it was. Make sure to be extra thorough and specific in describing the details, like the visual impact of when the bathwater glistened off her radiant skin. By this point, Obanai will be so blinded by rage that he won't even think twice before making sure that you never see anything ever again. He'll make you like Gyomei, except the blindness is man-made. And what about Mitsuri? Just challenge her to an eating competition. Within hours, you'll lose from your absolute physical inability to take in any more food, while Mitsuri hasn't even gotten to appetizers yet.
That's an intense.
Another way is to hit her where it hurts, emotionally. You see, Mitsuri wasn't aware of it herself in the beginning, but she has also definitely always had feelings for Obanai. So what we're gonna do is just casually point this out to her. There's no other way to go about it. She'll be so shocked and in disbelief, it's gonna be a mega kick in the gut that'll end you. Now, I'd say losing to Tengen should be pretty straightforward too. Of course, he's a pretty mature and flamboyant guy who won't even look in your direction for more than a second, since we're all trash to him. But if you insulted his wives in front of him, I'd tell him how much I like seeing Hinatsuru in the entertainment district arc all tied up in those daki sashes. Or I'll mention to him I like the Sweet Home Alabama situation going on with him and Makio. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out these 108 facts from the Demon Slayer fan books. And you must have already seen all those Sigma Chad memes, right? Naturally, Tengen is as Sigma as it gets, so what do you think would happen if his wives were insulted by a loser like ourselves right in front of him? He'll just walk all over us and force us to reincarnate to our next lives as his little muscle mice. Okay, next is Zenitsu. Well, losing to Zenitsu isn't actually that easy, because even though he's a wimp, he's still a Demon Slayer, and Demon Slayers are exponentially stronger than your average human. But if you want to make sure the odds of you losing to him are 100%, then just start producing some ASMR sounds or humming a soothing lullaby in a cutesy voice, cosplaying as Nezuko, and watch him fall asleep. Once he's asleep, you're getting cooked at lightning fast speed. Moving on, there's Kyojuro. You just have to look him dead in the eye and say that his mom has an Audi. His instincts would take over and you'd be knocked unconscious because Kyojuro is not letting anyone insult his proud mother, or buy a bento from a struggling grandmother duo by the train station and not finish your food in front of him. You best believe that rice is the last thing you'll see. Same goes for Tanjiro, but in this case, make sure not to talk about Tanjiro's mom because you'll just unintentionally trigger a series of flashback recap episodes. Instead, do something similar to what Yushiro did. He called Nezuko an eyesore, which Tanjiro took very personally. So just go on ahead and prepare a PowerPoint presentation on how Nezuko is not actually that cute and accuse Tanjiro himself of being a bit delulu. Not only will Tanjiro defensively pull out a family album to make his point on how Nezuko is adorable from birth and is the most gorgeous maiden in the village, he'll also obliterate you on the way. And in Asuke, just ask him how he gets his eyelashes so gorgeous and on fleek like that. What number is his shade of lipstick? Is there a Sephora in the Taisho era where he bought his makeup to look so feminine and beautiful? You won't live to tell the tale. As for Sanemi, I don't think you have to do anything. Just exist and he'll beat you up because of the muscle memory or something like that. Next is Shinobu. All you need to do is pull up in front of her while cosplaying as a demon in your best Halloween costume, preferably looking like Doma if you want to increase your chances. Then there's Moichiro, and this one would be awkward. He's always so indifferent that you're gonna need something special to make him care enough that he beats you up. But actually, there is a way. What if you just started yapping on and on about quantum physics and the laws of the universe, pretending that they involved him? Within half an hour, he'll be so annoyed with your yapping that he won't have any choice but to get physically involved in order to shut you up. After all, there's no way that his aloof brain is processing all that useless information at once. He only has memory space for Tanjiro.
Why are you gay?
And what about Nakime? Simple. Just challenge her to a biwa competition and definitely make sure you're inside the Infinity Castle for this, because not only you, but everyone else will lose. Because this is what's gonna happen. Alright, the next Hashira we're gonna lose to is Gyomei. Here's how it's gonna go. You'll approach him with the intention of asking him for a fighting lesson. You'll also mention that you seek to test the limits of your strength. Gyomei will be so touched by your sincerity, he'll nod and pray for your safety. The fighting lesson will begin and you'll obviously lose to him. He'll then also shed tears because you're a weak wuss who lost in just one move.
弱いもん。
And how can we forget Giyu? Yep, let's lose to him. This one's gonna be tricky because Giyu is too stoic for his own good, but there should be a way to lose to him, right? You'll first start by asking Giyu how many friends he has. Then you'll tell him that everyone hates him. This would get his attention, but for the most part, he'll still leave you alone. However, this is where we're gonna change his expectations. Instead of trash talking him, we'll start trash talking everybody else. We'll tell Giyu that it's not him, it's everyone else who's a clown for hating him. We'll praise him while making an absolute fool of everyone else. Shinobu, the other Hashira, even Kaguya himself. We'll talk trash about them all and pretend that we're doing this to make Giyu feel better. He'll ultimately get tired of it and knock you out purely out of the respect he has for all the people in his life. Ironically, if you want to lose to Michikatsu, you'll have to take the opposite approach. You just have to point out that Yorichi is so much superior to him and he's just a second rate who will forever be in his brother's shadow. Michikatsu will beat you up out of pettiness. Since we're talking about Michikatsu, let's also bring Yorichi into this. How to lose to Yorichi. This one's easy. Because just by not being Yorichi, you lose. No one can defeat him. Moving on, there's Haganezuka, the swordsmith. Just enter his room, borrow a sword, and proceed to use it to cut fruits or sashimi with it. He'll just explode with fury and might even become the most dangerous opponent you faced yet because his swords are for slaying demons, not for fruit ninja. Next is Kaguya. This one may sound tricky, but it's much more straightforward than you think. The moment you spot him, start aggressively doing the moonwalk and he'll mistake you for MJ Muzan, because bro is practically a fossil at this point and can barely see anything clearly. That's one way to die. Finally, the last character we're losing to today is Kanao. This is where we run into the same problem we did when facing Giyu. Kanao is so reserved and distant, how can you even make her care? How about this? We'll leave it to the coin toss. If it's heads, she'll fight ya, and if it's tails, you'll fight her. No matter the outcome, the result will be a fighting session between you and her. She won't refuse because she's too shy to refuse a polite request, and just like that, you lose to her. And have you ever thought about how the story would change if the genders of the Demon Slayer characters were all swapped? Well, watch what happens here.